Master Shu Huang. Lovely breeze. May I ask you something? What is a warrior's path?
That's such a sudden question. I would say, the path of the warrior is not an individual. For as a warrior, he is only one portion of the greater purpose. He must conquer his ego. He must have strength. His duty is to guide events towards the stated goal.
Thank you, my friend. Now let us be on our way. We must travel along life's path.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Not Out channel. Welcome back to the series where we're counting down the top Dynasty Warriors characters as of the latest game. Coming in at number 41, we have Shu Huang. Shu Huang is a general who willingly defected to Cao Cao, humble and honest with his troops. He was well liked for his old-fashioned geniality. He participated in several of his lord's campaigns, but it was his excellent service at Fan Castle which garnered Cao Cao's trust and gratitude. Historically, Cao Cao warmly praised Shu Huang to match Zhou Yafu's character. And for those who don't know, Zhou Yafu was a Chinese military general who was known to be the epitome of proper military discipline. After his death, he has been praised as one of the 5 generals of Wei. In Romance and the Three Kingdoms states he wielded a giant axe and that he once dueled Guan Yu in Jing province. Before we jump into how Shu Huang has changed since his playable debut back in Dynasty Warriors 3, let's take a look at the polls to see why Shu Huang is up here at number 41. In the first popularity poll, Shu Huang received 620 votes out of a total of 75,000, putting him down at the 51st spot. In the second popularity poll, Shu Huang is going to drop down to the 65th spot. And then in my personal rankings, Shu Huang is going to jump all the way up to the 12th positions. So Shu Huang is the highest character that we've done on my list so far. He's 12th on my list because just like what I talked about with Taichi C, I like characters who are similar to Taichi C and Shu Huang's personality. That humble, the honesty, the discipline, the integrity, whatever it takes to become an honest warrior. And that's what really drew me to him. He is a dedicated warrior who's mastered his craft, and even though he's among one of the highest generals of Wei, he never forgets his roots and he always spends his time training in order to increase his skills as a warrior, because he never feels like he's perfect. He always feels like there's a way for him to get better, and that's what I really like about the character in Shu Huang. So before we jump into how Shu Huang has changed in the Dynasty Warriors series, let's talk about Shu Huang for people who don't know. So again, he was a Chinese military general serving under the warlord Cao Cao in the late Eastern Han Dynasty of China. He was named one of the 5 elite generals of his time, and was also best noted for breaking the siege at the Battle of Fan Castle in 219 by routing the enemy commander Guan Yu. Before joining Cao Cao, Shu Huang was a subordinate of Yang Fen, a former White Wave bandit who later became a general under the Han central government. And while he was a subordinate under Yang Feng, there was a uprising going on in Luoyang, and Shu Huang persuaded Yang Feng to summon the warlord Cao Cao to Luoyang to help them deal with the crisis and protect the emperor. Shu Huang then suggested for him and Yang Feng to join Cao Cao, but Yang Feng ultimately refused and went his own way while Shu Huang followed him. Later on that year, Cao Cao defeated Yang Feng in battle, and Shu Huang pledged allegiance to Cao Cao. Shu Huang would then go on to serve Cao Cao for the remainder of his military career. And during that time, he racked up a bunch of accolades with Cao Cao, performing in many battles and doing extremely well in a lot of the battles. We'll talk more about that in the later part of the video when we talk about his significant battles, but Shu Huang was a great general and definitely worthy of the title of being one of the top 5 generals of the Wei Kingdom. Shu Huang was a mighty warrior who adamantly stayed true to his life as a warrior. He didn't care for politics or bribery. He was a man who lived by his blade, and during times of peace, he would find himself training to increase his ability as a warrior in order to prepare for whatever battle he was supposed to be participating in next. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump into how Shu Huang has changed over the past 20 years. Let's go ahead and start off with his appearance. So Shu Huang's appearance remained relatively the same throughout his playability in the Dynasty Warriors series, except for Dynasty Warriors 6. Seems to be the only game where characters seem to change a lot. But every single game he has a similar appearance. He's got his armor on, he's got kind of a white pattern, white and blue pattern. He's one of the only characters that I've seen actually that's had this pattern, but he's got like a white hood on, and he maintains that through all the games except for Dynasty Warriors 6. Dynasty Warriors 6, he has definitely more of a, knight kind of general look. He's got a helmet, and he's, a little bit more armored up than some of the other games, but for the most part, I've always liked Shu Huang's appearance, and that's why he's so high up for me, looking like a character from like Assassin's Creed. I always enjoyed the way Shu Huang looks. He looks really cool, and just with that personality imbued with his character, it's just a very nice mixture of the way he looks and how he presents himself. Even though he looks like a character that, he looks like a character you don't really want to mess with, but he has that humbleness, and he's willing to, fight you fairly in a match. He's not a fan of sneak attacks or, you know, going behind your back or performing an injustice. He's, you know, a fair warrior. He wants to fight you one-on-one, head-to-head, and, you know, may the best warrior win. And I like that attitude that Xu Huang has, and I mentioned that before with Taishi C. Very similar attitudes when it comes to fighting and battle, and I can't complain about the way he looks too much. I've always enjoyed it, and throughout most of the games, he pretty much looks the same. If I had to choose my favorite look for Xu Huang, it'd probably be the later games, Dynasty Warriors 8 and 9. They look really cool, but he looks cool throughout all the series, and I can't complain too much about the way he looks. Now, moving on to his weapon style. His weapon style remains relatively the same in all the games as well, except for Dynasty Warriors 6 and 7. Throughout all the other games, he's going to wield the battle axe, and because Xu Huang was known to wield a giant axe throughout most of the games, that's what he has. Except in Dynasty Warriors 6, he gets the G, or he gets a pike, and it fits him. It's not a bad weapon. It definitely fits him as a character. The weapon they gave him in Dynasty Warriors 6 definitely looked right on him, but then the one they gave him in Dynasty Warriors 7 didn't fit that well. I mean, it was a good weapon and everything, but definitely a style more towards Lu Meng, and when we cover Lu Meng, we'll talk more about that, but every other weapon was just fine. I actually like Xu Huang's style. Nothing too crazy, nothing too fancy, but definitely a realistic weapon and definitely a lot of fun, and it goes with the way Xu Huang looks. His Musou attacks in all the games were pretty good. They're pretty basic, can't complain too much about them. They weren't anything too crazy where it was like, wow, these Musou attacks are insane, but it was, you know, decent for who Xu Huang was, and it kind of goes with his simplistic, humble nature. You know, he's not doing anything too fancy. He's just there to fight fair and square, one-on-one, the best he's got, and that's kind of represented in his Musou attacks. One thing I wanted to note about Xu Huang, maybe he's ambidextrous, I don't know, but in the earlier games, he's actually right-handed with his axe, and then in the latest game in Dynasty Warriors 9, he's actually left-handed. He might be left-handed in some of the other games, but I noticed it primarily in Dynasty Warriors 9, because when I was on my horse trying to hit enemies, he was on his left side instead of his right side, which was throwing me off a little bit, but can't complain too much about Xu Huang's weapon style. He was always pretty intimidating when you were going against him, and he has his giant axe, and he's swinging it at you, trying to take you down. I always enjoyed his weapon style, and it was pretty fun to play through. Now, moving on to his voice acting. Xu Huang's voice acting is pretty consistent. I can't complain too much about it. It does definitely change from game to game, or from different voice actor to voice actor, but it's pretty much the same. I can't complain really too much at all about it. I like the way Xu Huang sounds. It fits him as a character. Dynasty Warriors 5 was probably the one that stood out the most. I don't know if it was my favorite, but definitely stood out more as an intimidating kind of character. He definitely had that sound in Dynasty Warriors 5.
The chaos. It continues yet. I still have so far to go.
But in all the other games, it fits him as a character. He doesn't have like a overwhelming... I mean, the voice just fits him. He's got that stoicness about him, similar to Pang De. You can see that, you know, Xu Huang, the Taishi C, the Pang De type of characters have a similar voice style. But I would say that out of maybe those three, Xu Huang was probably the most reserved. He's definitely a more reserved character, but when he fights, and obviously from his accolades and what he can do on the battlefield, definitely a very good warrior, and does whatever it takes in order to perfect his ability as a warrior. And the voices for this character, I think, fit him just fine as well. Alright, now let's talk about his significant battles, his relationships with other officers, and his death. We're going to start off with his significant battles. He's a part of a lot of battles. You know, Xu Huang, again, he racked up a lot of accolades and accomplishments throughout his military career in the Wei Kingdom. But we're going to talk about the main, like his main significant battles, which is going to be the Battle of Guandu, the Battle of Tong Gate, and the Battle of Fan Castle. Alright, first off, the Battle of Tong Gate. So the Battle of Tong Gate was a battle between Cao Cao and the allied forces from the west. This included the northwestern warlords Han Sui and Ma Chao. In the battle, Xu Huang's responsibility is to cross the river and to attack the enemy camp from the other side. While Cao Cao's main forces defended Tong Gate, Xu Huang and a couple other officers went around to pincer attack the enemy, resulting in victory for Cao Cao's forces. In the Battle of Guandu, Xu Huang played a pretty big role in that battle, winning a bunch of early skirmishes and also defeating the warlord Liu Bei. He also defeated Yan Liang and Wen Chou, even though the games depict Guan Yu defeating Yan Liang and Wen Chou. Cao Cao also sent Xu Huang to attack a smaller depot full of supplies, which he succeeded in. Cao Cao was victorious at the Battle of Guandu, and Xu Huang was promoted for his achievements. Finally, the Battle of Fan Castle. This is probably his most glorious moment in his military career. Xu Huang is the reinforcements for this battle, so when Guan Yu originally sieges Fan Castle and kills Pang De, forces Yu Jin to surrender and sieges the castle with a flood attack. When Xu Huang arrives with reinforcements in order to assist Cao Ren and ends up defeating Guan Yu in battle, which is Shu Huang's greatest moment. Now in the games, they don't really discuss or really go over it. There is a scene in Dynasty Warriors 5 when they exchange words and they fight. Most of the games have Guan Yu being killed by soldiers or other characters, but not Shu Huang. I guess this is also a perfect segment into the relationships because Shu Huang and Guan Yu actually had a friendship. They were actually friends.
It's been too long, Shu Huang. I'm glad to see you came.
You're a good friend, but as an opponent of Wei, you're also my enemy.
They had a mutual respect for each other's abilities and talents. In Dynasty Warriors 5, again, with that instance, they talked and, you know, obviously fought it out. But also in Dynasty Warriors 9, you see an interaction where Guan Yu comes up to him and he sees Shu Huang training and he's like, why are you training so hard when we just finished battling or something? Why are you continuing to train? And Shu Huang explains that, again, that, you know, even in times of peace, even in times when they just finished a battle, he's always trained to perfect that strength that he wants to attain.
Master Shu Huang, the battle has only just finished, and yet you are training? I must say, I find your dedication to your art most impressive.
Oh, Master Guan Yu, I am honored to receive praise from such a legendary warrior.
And he really admired Guan Yu's wisdom and experience, and each warrior acknowledges the other man's abilities. While they both shared common ideals, Shu Huang also saw him as one of his greatest obstacles to overcome. And that's evident in some of the games that I've already mentioned. They had a close personal friendship where they chatted about other things apart from military affairs all the way up until Guan Yu's death. And then maybe the other two minor relationships I think Shu Huang had was with Zhang Liao and Cao Cao. Of course, he's going to have that relationship with Cao Cao because he's his subordinate. He wants to do whatever he can in order to provide value for Cao Cao in his kingdom and helping him accomplish his goals. But they don't have much of an interaction. Of course, Cao Cao praises him for his abilities and what Shu Huang is able to do, but I think it's more like because he's so humble, Shu Huang doesn't really display that relationship. He accepts his praises humbly and then he moves on and, you know, goes back to training or focusing on his next mission, but he doesn't really show much emotion when it comes to, you know, when he receives praise or whatever he's doing. And I almost forgot to mention his other close relationship with Man Chong. Man Chong is actually the reason Shu Huang is introduced in the Dynasty Warriors game, at least in Dynasty Warriors 9. Even though in history Cao Cao defeats Yang Feng, his former master, and that's how Shu Huang becomes a part of Cao Cao's forces. In Dynasty Warriors 9, when Man Chong becomes a playable character, he's the one who recommends Shu Huang to Cao Cao. I would say Man Chong and Shu Huang had a close relationship because I believe they were friends before Man Chong suggested him. And although they didn't have too many interactions within the game, I think they were still close friends, and that's why Man Chong originally had the suggestion to bring Shu Huang into Cao Cao's kingdom. And with Zhang Liao, I think he has a minor relationship with just because, again, he has that respect for him similar to that of Guan Yu. He respects that warrior kind of mentality that Zhang Liao also has, which we'll discuss more when we get to Zhang Liao. You can also say he has a similar admiration to that of Peng De because Peng De, again, another character that has that warrior's mentality, and they do have an interaction in Dynasty Warriors 5 when they meet. And then finally, let's talk about Shu Huang's death. It's not mentioned in any of the games, I don't think. They might have mentioned in Dynasty Warriors 9, but it's not like a significant event or anything. Shu Huang passes from illness, and that's pretty much it for his death. But that's all I really have for Shu Huang here. Again, he's one of my favorites. I've always liked those type of characters, the humble warrior type. I mean, the game is Dynasty Warriors. You know, I've always enjoyed Shu Huang as a character and those types of warrior type characters. And how humble and honest he is as a character is always a really cool thing to see, because even though he is a character who has achieved a lot, he has done a lot in his military career. Those 3 battles that I mentioned were just the most significant ones, but he's done a lot for his kingdom, and that's why he was named one of the 5 elite generals of Wei, because of the accolades that he did during his time was absolutely insane. He was a great warrior on the field, and I love that he had that mentality of, let's fight one-on-one. I want to find someone who's of equal strength or just someone who's strong, and I want to test my might against them. That was his thing. That was his theme, and I always enjoyed seeing that. His weapon style was really cool. The way he looks was really cool, and he's always been a favorite of mine in terms of the Wei Kingdom. But that's all I have for Shu Huang here. Let me know what you guys think about him, if you guys use him, or if I missed anything about the character. Feel free to let me know down below. But that's all I have for the video, guys. We're almost done with the 40s. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, definitely appreciate a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, everyone.
人先自